Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's 10:31 Mountain Standard Time. Let's make it happen. Thank you guys for being here. Sales Warrior. Let's rock and roll. All things training. Todd, I don't know about you, brother, but I am a big guy in acronyms. And what I mean by that is acronyms. I love acronyms. All since my coaching days of high school football, like left flex strong was LFS on a wristband, and then whatever the play was called and all that kind of fun stuff. But my favorite acronym of all time, you know what it is? Do you want to know what it is? Other than Go ND, which is Go Notre Dame, my favorite acronym of all time is ABLE. Always be learning everything. Always be learning everything. And the reason I say that is, listen, yesterday, many of you who are on this call right now, and thank you of my heart, were tuned into our 13%er. That was our kickoff yesterday for that specific class, hard charging, heavy hitting tactics that you can be used right this absolute second that are going to, generate more business. We can never guarantee that a deal will happen because of doing this, or this. Off the record, I'm going to go ahead and say it, even though we're being recorded. I promise you that if you did and attended all the classes, watched all the classes, listened to them, rewatched them half a dozen times, I am confident that you will not only put, or feel more confident, but you will put a deal, one more deal together between now and the end of the year. That is my bold prediction as we get into college football bold predictions, NFL bold predictions, all the fun stuff. That is my bold prediction. If you guys show up, plug in, do the things that Todd or myself discuss and talk about, guys, you will put more transactions together. That is the entire reason behind these courses. So today, yes, we have a Sales Warrior class. This is not new. Something you guys have been attending for the past month and a half, 2 months. And yes, at 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, we too are going to have another training. So that is why ABLE, my dear friend, is my favorite acronym. Always be learning everything. And these folks right here are showing up to show out. So TC, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, dude. He's got a little extra bravado because he's just coming off of a class that we taught leaders. It was called Growth School, is called Growth School. And he took people through a 5-week program, and 5 weeks, these 9 people brought on 32 agents, and these 9 people hadn't brought on 32 agents in 2 years. So the results were crazy. So now he's like dropping the gauntlet and drawing the line, and he's going, actually, I love it. I mean, like, that's how we go, right? That's a sales warrior, baby. Hey, listen, so I know he's talking about 13% Club. Those of you that don't know 13% Club, probably the reason you don't know about the 13% Club is because you're already a 13%er, but in the off chance that you don't know what he's talking about, please reach out to somebody in our organization and get your hands on the link. It's specifically for those people who are doing under 5 transactions per year that are looking to make sure that they make it in this business. And I think everybody knows, like 87% failure rate. I don't need to say much more than that. I'm pretty sure that we all didn't get in this business to fail, certainly. And number 2, I don't think we want to be average either, because I think, well, you got to love it. Like, I should time this better. I can't tell you how many times when I go online, like, my gardener is out here and he must be smoking a cigarette and pretending like he's blowing leaves. But anyway, the point is the average person in the industry is making $50,000. By the way, that's gross commission income. That's before you've paid your taxes, paid your bills, paid your marketing, like all of that stuff. And so we yesterday went through, like, what does the math look like? Well, if you did $150,000 in gross commission income, you're really only taking home 50 grand. Right? Because you got to pay taxes. Uncle Sam gets their piece, right? And those taxes are going up, 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 up. And then, of course, you've got all the expenses associated with running your business because you're an entrepreneur. So anyway, that was not the intent. And frankly, my first, like, what I want to talk to you about right out of the gates really wasn't at all. Jeff's going to cringe here in just a second. But listen, I'm going to trigger everybody. And I want to just call it out, probably for my own sake, that I'm going to trigger you. My intent is to trigger you. If my intent is to trigger you, then probably you shouldn't maybe get so triggered, but maybe you're going to get triggered. I don't know. But I'm going to call some shit out today. I'm going to get passionate. I'm going to get excited. I'll do my best not to cuss. I will do my best. Okay. But listen, don't miss the message because of a couple of words. Don't miss it. I had a conversation this morning with a gal, and it has me fired up. Okay. And what I came away from that conversation with was, oh my God, where are all of the men in our society? Y'all, ladies, this is nothing against you, but listen, in our society, men were supposed to be the protectors. Okay. Like, I know things have changed in the providing world, but what happened to all of the men? Where are the American men? And here's what happened. This person got canceled. She got canceled. She got canceled because of her political beliefs. Literally, somebody that believed differently than she believed decided that they were going to cancel her. And y'all, by the way, canceling is terrorism. If the idea is to try to cancel somebody, you are literally committing terrorism. And I'm not suggesting any of you are the cancelers. I'm saying that those people that are out there, those ninjas on the keyboards, they're trying to cancel people. It's terrorism. And what had happened is this person had received threats, y'all, threats, if you can imagine, because of her political view, her opinion about politics, who she thought should be voted in as president. Her kid was threatened. Dude, where are all the men? Where are them? Listen, not too long ago, if you threatened a child, like, you may not need to worry about the man coming because Mama Bear whoop your butt. But certainly somebody's butt was going to get whooped. And yet we've changed that. Somewhere along the way, that's all changed. And so I kind of got fired up. I'm like, what is going on here? This is ridiculous. Well, listen, it's because we're all being canceled. We're all afraid. We're afraid that somebody's going to get online. They're going to say some horrendous things about us. They're going to call us out. They're going to say, oh my gosh, you're a Bible thumping, you're a Kamala loving, whatever, right? And they're going to hate on you so much that the juice isn't worth the squeeze. And here's the problem. The problem with that is that as you become silent, as you say, hey, listen, that wasn't worth it, we're putting other people at risk. Those kids were threatened. That is unacceptable. Period. End of story. And we are the people. There used to be a time where we could be in the same room with somebody that believed differently about religions, about politics, about economics, about who we cared to love, about what flavor of ice cream was the best, and we were okay. But that's changed, and that's changed because of this whole cancel culture nonsense. And y'all, it's the season, right? We are in the season. Does anybody remember that whole thing in COVID, right? Like, I think it had been happening for a period of time before that, but boy, like, somebody hit the gas right when we hit COVID. All of a sudden, it was like totally fine. There were those people that believed in vaccines. There were people that didn't believe in vaccines. The people that believed in vaccines believed that those people that weren't getting vaccines were killing everybody. And then the people that weren't getting vaccines believed that the people that were getting the vaccines were killing themselves. And like somewhere along the line, but in hindsight, don't we know the truth? Well, and here we are. So not at all how I was supposed to start this whole thing, but I'm just going to implore you all. We are in the season. We are in the season where nonsense is happening. It's going to continue to happen. Just the same way as sales warriors, we expect objections. You better expect the attack. Stand up for the number one thing, which is your country. There is no candidate that will be your savior. There is only one savior. I know him. His name is Jesus. Okay? It is not your candidate. It is not politics. That is not it. This is America. We stand for this country. We do not stand for people threatening children. We do not stand for people threatening women. That is absolutely not appropriate. I do want to talk about some truths. As I was taking some notes yesterday, I'm like, what are some truths that we know today that we benefit from hindsight as a result of, right? Like, as everybody's an armchair quarterback, like, history happens and they're like, oh yeah, I would have known that. For sure, I would have known that. Well, these are the things that we can benefit from hindsight. Number one, social media was suppressed. Everybody understand, right? In hindsight, freedom of speech was not freedom of speech when it came to social media. Now we've got actual social media owners of organizations that are coming out and admitting it, right? So we know that. Okay, great. Your favorite news channel, they lie. I don't care if it starts with a C, an M, an F. It doesn't really matter. They lie. That's just the way it works, right? But again, hindsight, at the time, we probably didn't know that. Here's one. Wall Street wants real estate professionals gone. I'm going to say that again. Wall Street wants real estate professionals gone. Boy, I'm going to get some heat for this. By the way, one of my relatives, one of my favorite ones, works on Wall Street. So I'm going to get some major, major heat for this. But I want you to hear me loud and clear. Wall Street wants real estate agents, the real estate sales professional gone, and they want them gone for one reason, and that's their own benefit. And if you doubt that they are willing to do whatever it takes to benefit themselves, just remember the commercial-backed mortgage security. Do you remember that? That little thing that probably is the one thing that cascaded us back in 2008 into, you know, some sort of a mild recession, into the Great Recession. That's why Wall Street wants us gone. See, the real estate industry as a whole has already been completely baked. And so in order for them to make a bunch of money, I'm talking about private equity, and I'm talking about IPOs, initial public offerings, IPOs. See, they need it to be new and shiny. And like, that's why everybody wants to do all these tech-driven companies, and everything wants to be tech. Everybody remember there was a company not too long ago, their colors were black. They came out and they said, hey, listen, we're a tech company. We're not a real estate company. And then they came out and they traded it, some crazy 20, 25X on EBITDA, or it wasn't even on EBITDA, right? It was on Blue Sky. And they were valued at a higher number than a company that had been, as of today, in business for 118 years. Remember that one? Well, listen, that's what they want, they meaning Wall Street. In this, we have the benefit of hindsight. The saying is, if we will not remember history, then we are destined to repeat it. So this is it, right? We got to remember what Wall Street stands for. It's how they make their money. But then we go back and we look at it. What are iBuyers? If you will do some research, you'll love this one, right? For those of you who got your phone, grab your phone. If you got ChatGPT, you'll love this one. Go in and just ask ChatGPT, what companies in the United States have bought the most amount of real estate? And you're going to find a couple of things, right? There'll probably be 2 or 3 that'll come up. One will be, kind of logistics, what we would call last mile type delivery, which makes sense, right? Because we've gotten more and more of like the Amazon type delivery and, next day service and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of investment that's going on in markets. I would call them tertiary markets, but like the Twin Falls of the world, the Grand Junctions of the world. It's that they call it last mile, right? That's how you get stuff delivered today.
Hey guys, sorry for the interruption. I'm going to get you right back to the video, but most of you know me as a real estate broker, or maybe somebody who's built and scaled one of the fastest growing sales organizations in the country. What you may not know is that I also work with other sales professionals and leaders that are looking to grow and scale their businesses and just live badass lives. The one place that I have everybody start, the very first spot, is the lethal scripts for the sales warrior. I'm going to give you one for free today, just so that you can get a little taste of what it is that we're doing out there. So click on the link below. We'll send you the information, and let's get back to the video.
And then number 2 on that list is likely going to be a company called Blackstone. Anybody ever heard of it? Of course. Okay. They're the boogeyman. Okay. Do the research, make your own opinions, but understand that's it. Are you guys having a problem hearing me? Okay, beautiful. Tech, y'all. So tech, if you think about it, so tech will trade at different multiples. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, it used to be that you would take a company and you would say, hey, listen, the company made $100. And then you would say, all right, well, how much is the company worth then? And it would be some multiple of the $100. In the real estate business, it's 1, 2, 3 times what they call EBITDA, right? Whatever. In the tech world on Wall Street, 2 things have changed. Number 1, that multiple can be 20, 25, 30 times that $100, but you don't have to actually make money in the tech space. See, in the tech space, you can have a platform that makes $0, but because there's what they call blue sky, it's another word for telling a better story, being a better salesperson, selling the better snake oil, you can actually value the company at multiples of no profits. Isn't that great? That's Zillow, right? That's Amazon. Now, these companies have ultimately come out of the other side, although many of Zillow's, if you were to take Zillow altogether, they don't make money. But if you were to take pieces of Zillow, these pieces make money. And remember the debacle with the iBuyer, right? But what they are disruptive. Okay. So Wall Street loves disruptive type models because there's blue sky, there's opportunity to make more money. They can sell, baby, sell. Okay. Then there's agent centric. You'll love this one. This is one of my favorite, right? Agent centric. We've heard this model over and over and over, right? And listen, there's a lot of alphabets. Some of you are probably that are on this call are probably from some of these companies. I'm just speaking truth here, okay? So don't get all offended. But with the alphabet suit companies, they call themselves as agent centric. But what they've really done is they've said, hey, listen, we are going to transfer the risk from the company to the agent. It's a pretty good play on words. I get it. But think about this for a second. If I don't have bricks and mortar, if I don't have the staffing required, and what I've done is I've said, hey, listen, I'm going to service you from afar, centralized. Here we go. We don't have to have an office. We don't have to have these things. What I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, listen, if you would like an office, you can go get an office. But as a company, I've transferred the risk. Well, Wall Street loves that because Wall Street hates risk. And Wall Street wants a business that can reduce expense, drive up revenue, drive up blue sky. That's what this is all about. So agent centric. The Wall Street's claim that the customers are more informed. Like that's the deal is we've just got to make sure that customers are more informed, more transparency, more things. Listen, I don't think it'll surprise any of you that when you go back and you look at the NAR settlement and the lawsuits and that kind of stuff, that somewhere along the line, these tech companies are actually behind many of them. Okay, because nobody can argue the fact that if this was all about what was best for the consumer, then you would allow sellers to properly market their properties, and if they wanted to offer a compensation to a buyer or a buyer's agent for being represented, well, that's up to them, right? That would be freedom to be able to do whatever they want, but that's not what happened. So we got to know, right, that something's up. That doesn't make any sense. Any orangutan can figure out that common sense, and that'll all get worked out. But you have to understand that what they're really saying is that agents are dumb. Y'all, we are in a people business. And as long as we continue to say, hey, you know what we should do? Let's not be belly to belly with people. Let's not shake hands. Let's not go to the events. Let's not support our local events. Let's not talk about when you buy a home from me in my market, my money stays here and I invest it back in the market. But when you go and do something through Zillow or Realtor or whatever, like that money's gone. Well, but agents are dumb. We're not dumb. We're people, right? Wall Street definitely believes that they are the smartest people in the room. And then, of course, there's commission pressure, right? And commission pressure is not how much money you're being paid. This is one of these common things that are being confused. Everybody's saying, oh, well, the commission, there's commission pressure. And we as real estate agents are thinking to ourselves, well, that means that we're going from 3% to 2%. That's not what we're talking about. There's always been that commission pressure. That commission pressure has been out there forever. What Wall Street is talking about is that it used to be, by the way, 25 years ago, I'm going to give you a stat, it's going to blow your mind. 25 years ago, the average split between an agent and the company that they partnered with was roughly 33%. Okay. Just think about that for a minute. 33, that was the average, right? Started at 50-50. The average was 33%. That number just, 4 years ago, right before COVID, was 21%. And now that number is down to 14%. Okay. We understand, right? Like I understand there are all the people that say that they can go out there and they can give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10, but they can do it for half the price than anybody else. But you and I both know that's not true, right? Like you're not going to go buy a Mercedes, $100,000 for Mercedes for $50,000. Just that's not how it works, right? That's the profitability, the commission pressure that they're talking about. And what's interesting about that is they're in a race, a technology race, to be able to say, hey, listen, I'm going to compress is being paid to brokerages because the brokerage model, the traditional model, the bricks and mortar model, the local staff, that kind of thing is actually the obstacle to Wall Street being able to invest and do what they need to do to drive revenues. So I say all of this stuff when I probably spent 22 minutes longer than I probably should have to say all of these things. But the bottom line is you all need to know what's going on. I remember back, again, it's the whole history thing, right? You're destined to repeat it. I can remember back in 2006-ish, let's call it. Maybe it was a year before. And a company was coming into all of the multiple listings in the local boards saying, hey, listen, we would like to have access to your information, right? And we'll even pay you for it, right? We'll pay you $150 or whatever it is. And here's our agreement. And we did it. And by the way, their agreement was crazy. It said, hey, I know that you don't own the photos, but if you give us the feed, we own the photos. And I know that you don't, you own all of the information and you're in a non-disclosure state, but once you give us the information, we own all of the information. You remember that? It might start with a Z and end with a W. Okay. So what are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about our industry and being a sales warrior, not just somebody that's going along for the ride? It's not enough to be 13%. You got to be 5%. You got to be 3%. You got to be 1%. You got to be one of the best. In order to be one of the best, you got to be a leader in your industry. And this industry is led by people just like you and I. And so I'm going to jam through some just ideas that I wrote down as to ways that you can stand and you can protect not only your industry, but your own job, your own career. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of sales things being put out there, but you're going to have to do something. Okay. So I'm going to jam through it. Number one thing I wrote down is size is vanity, profits are sanity. Size is vanity, profits are sanity. Write that down. That's the new tattoo that you're going to put on the inside of your eyeballs. Size is vanity, profits are sanity. If you believe that, then you're not going to fall for the snake oil salesperson that comes along and says, hey, listen, I've got the next great lead source. You're going to do the things that you can actually prove. You're going to roll up your sleeves. You're going to put some sweat into this. You're not going to worry about how many transactions you're doing. You're going to worry about the quality of the transactions. You're not going to worry about the size of the team that you're building. You're going to worry about the profitability of your team. You're going to manage your expenses. You're going to stick to the value. You're going to sell your value. You're going to keep your value. I talked to a team in the Midwest. Gosh, this was about a year ago. Jeff actually probably remembers who this is. And we had a conversation, and at the time he was doing about 110 transactions. He had a team of about 19 people, right? Average sales price probably in the 200 range, right? Do the math, right? I've got 19 agents, average sales price at 200,000. And I did 110 transactions, right? So you can figure out the average production. And so my conversation with this person, this leader, was, hey, listen, I see what you're doing. You're about 30% below the average sales price in your marketplace. You're buying leads. Your expenses are crazy big. Your average per person productivity is in the tank. Your agents aren't able to feed their families. Like, are you looking to grow market share just to grow market share? Or are you interested in building a team that can actually make more money and everybody can feed their families? And y'all, I'm telling you, he said, I want more market share. Size is vanity, profits are sanity. So we got to make sure that we do what's necessary to drive profitable businesses. And that means that when things get hard, we've got to ratchet down our expenses. Okay. And I would say that we every day, whether the market is good or bad, it doesn't really matter. You should be paying attention to the metrics. You've got to micromanage, period. Right. Number two, we've got to get refocused. I always find that tough times, they reveal or expose, right? That they either reveal your strength or they expose your weakness.
Hey, just a quick little interruption. As you know, I work with some of the best sales professionals and leaders who are looking to grow their businesses, build exceptional lives on the planet. And what I'm doing is I'm giving away $50,000 worth of coaching and training absolutely free. All you have to do is enter the drawing below, click on the link, enter your information, tell us just a little bit about you, and you could qualify for $50,000 worth of free coaching and training. Let's get back to the video.
And when I think of the people that are growing these great businesses, there is no money without morals. Hear what I just said. There is no money without morals. And I appreciate the fact that there are some people out there that seem to be behaving poorly. Hell, I mean, I get this all the time, right? I'm dealing with some of this nonsense right this second, right? But every day we get to choose to be either a good guy or a bad guy, period, end of story. And the better you are, the better you make the world. The better you are, the more impact that you actually have on that world. This is really good stuff, right? And we're like, yeah, baby, that sounds amazing. But listen, the more impact that you have, the more you get noticed. And we want to be noticed by the good guys, but that's not always the case. Sometimes we also get noticed by the bad guys. And that's going to lead to some targeting. That's going to lead to some struggle. But I just want you to remember this. Somebody on this call needs to remember, maybe I'm preaching to myself. You're one of the good guys. Okay. The more faithful you are, the more consistent you are to being that good guy, the higher your confidence level in being that good guy is, and the better life, the more fulfilled life that you will continue to live. So while things get hard, we see some crazy things happen, don't we? Like the challenge, all of a sudden you see some discounting that goes on. According to our code of ethics, you're not supposed to talk poorly about other people. Did you know that? That's actually not just in the Bible, but it's actually in our code of ethics, the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics, that you do not disparage others. And yet you all know right this second, right now, you can think of a company that's in the market that's disparaging another company to try to attempt to gain market share through recruiting. You can think of agents right now that are disparaging you in listing appointments or representing buyers to try to get them not to use you. Rather than selling their value, they're going to disparage you. That's probably because you're the good guy. So keep being a good guy. All right. I got your back on this one. Keep being the good guy. All right. The other one is that there is no wealth without health. Y'all, do not forsake your health through these times. I know they're hard. I know they're scary. I understand that the market is down. I understand that we'll be lucky to do 4 million transactions, and we all got used to doing 6 million transactions. I get it. It's hard. I understand that there's some confusion around Mountain R and that kind of stuff. But listen, you are the ones. You're the sales warriors. You've got the greatest skills. You're doing the work. You're going to be amazing at this. Okay? All right. Don't take the bait is what I want to say. Don't get triggered is what I want to say. There was a time that there was this word, this phrase. Yeah, maybe you remember it. Something about sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Like, come on. Like, enough, right? Let's go. Let's be strong men. Let's be strong women. Let's be sales warriors. Let's get to the other side. Right. And then, of course, the last one is this, and I touched on it before, just a slight nuance, right? I believe there are 3 different types of people in this world when it comes to freedom. You ready? I believe there are those people that went overseas and they bled for our freedom. I believe there are people here that are actively fighting for our freedom. And then I believe that there's the rest of us that are sitting back passively, and we're the beneficiaries of freedom. But I just want to make sure that everybody's clear. Freedom's not free. And so if you stand for something in this season or any other season, we're going to have to call it out. As real estate professionals, as members of the National Association of Realtors, we are a self-policed organization. So if you see somebody violating your code of ethics, and you think that the code of ethics means something, and you think that we should enforce our code of ethics, well, it's up to you. You're the one that's going to have to report them. Okay. And that's fighting for your freedoms. That's fighting for it. Otherwise, you get canceled. Okay. If you see somebody that's threatening a child. All right. So here's what I want to leave you with from a teaching perspective. Everybody wants to make 6 figures, but what they forget is that in order to make 6 figures, they're going to have to get rid of their 5-figure habits. You don't become a 6-figure earner. And I'm looking around right now and I see some 7-figure earners on here. Okay. So you don't become a 7-figure earner by keeping your 5- and 6-figure habits. You have to actually become the right person. So you got to get your eyes right. You got to get your focus right. Y'all, in your business right now, you have got people who are telling buyers and sellers that it's better over here. Don't work with Sierra. Don't work with Janet. Don't work with Jesse. Boy, there's a lot of J's on this call. Don't work with Tanya. Like, don't do it. There's a saying, it's called good from far and far from good. Over there, the grass looks greener over there. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. Over there is probably artificial turf. It's greenest where you water it. You're going to have to fight to make sure that your grass is green, that it's lush, that it's real, that you are making the most out of what you got. Because right now it feels like, doesn't it, that everybody's just trying to steal everybody else's shit instead of just going out and earning and attracting their own tribe. So how do you do that? Well, I think that's how you have to adopt these 6 and 7 figure habits. You've got to really adopt them. And so I wrote down, I trained, get this, I trained 12.7 hours last week. 12.7 of my hours last week I trained. How much did you train? See, if you want to be a sales warrior, you're going to have to train. It's about skills. It's not about stuff. I don't care what anybody else out there is saying. Well, your competitors are telling people, well, you know, it's about this, and I got this marketing, got that marketing. That's all nonsense. What about you? As a sales professional, your skills, are you the right man or woman for the job? And if you're not, you can change it. So I train for 12.7 hours. And look at it. We talk about reading 10 pages every day. Well, I love it. But I also believe in the compound effect. And I was like, hey, listen, if 10 pages are good, 20 pages are great. If in my calendar, and if you guys know what the perfect sales warrior calendar is, it says I'm going to learn every single day. I'm going to train for 30 minutes. That's good, but 60 minutes would be great, right? And at the end of the day, I'm not chasing goodness. I'm chasing greatness. And so I'm going to do the things that I think are great, not good. See, I'm going to elevate my habits from 5-figure to 6-figure. So what are you doing from a habits perspective to elevate your income? Because there are no shortcuts. None. How many of you, be honest, how many of you have gone out and said, I'm going to take this shortcut? You got too far into it. All right. And you're like, shit, I got to turn back. I went the wrong damn way. Right. Ends up taking you longer. Right. That's the problem, right? The saying is there are no shortcuts. If there was a shortcut, it'd be called the way. It'd be called the way. Right. So let me tell you what the shortcut is, because I actually do think there's a shortcut. The shortcut is you got to be the first person. You got to get started faster. You got to get started earlier. You got to be more consistent. You got to be more relentless. You got to be more disciplined than anybody else. If you will do those things, that is the shortcut. Because listen, most people are going to start, stop, try to find shiny penny, squirrel. What's that over there? I don't feel like it today. That's nonsense. You got to do it on all the days. You got to do it on the easy days, the hard days. The hard days are called test days, right? Like what are you actually made of? I hate tests. Well, this is going to be rough for you, right? I love tests. Let's go. Shows me, right? That what is tested can be trusted. I want to know what we can trust in us, right? Here's another one. Are you a work week warrior? Are you a work week warrior? Think about this for a second, right? Like, like I have this visual of the bell, the horn, right? Closing time, baby. It's Friday. Let's go, right? I get up, I show up, I put up all week. Things are amazing. I work my ass off. I am a disciplined animal. Monday through Friday. I am amazing. Like I'm up at 5. I'm doing beast mode. I'm with the kids. I'm making breakfast, doing drop-offs. I'm showing up to work. I am crushing it. I'm making my calls. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Friday comes and I'm like, yeah, baby, let's go. Happy hour, 3 o'clock. If it's Jeff, I'm, on the golf course. Yeah, I know, whatever. Anyway, I'm going. I'm hitting it hard. Like, come on, let's go. I'm shit-faced now. Next thing I know, I'm eating like crap. And next thing I know, I'm on the couch. And hey, it was the weekend. How was your weekend? It was amazing. Do the math. Just do the math, right? What percentage of the week just went bye-bye? It's 37%. Okay, listen. If you crushed it 63% of the time, what are you expecting? Are you expecting to achieve these goals listen, 63% in school, it's been a long time since I was in school, but 63% was not passing, okay? Was not going to get you what you needed. So you would change that habit, right? Like you wouldn't fall off the wagon. Weekends aren't for debauchery. Weekends are maybe for some rest and restoration, but you keep going. I don't stop. And that's me. But I think my wife and my kids think I'm pretty connected. So anyway, I will leave it like that.
All right, one more interruption. Hey, listen, you guys know I'm working with salespeople and leaders all over the country, all over the world for that matter, and we're all focused on one thing. How is it that we have the greatest impact and change the most lives? So here's the thing. You don't have to pay me to be your coach. I'm going to give you my phone number. I want you to text me any question you've got. I promise you I'll answer it. Just try me. 833-338-0078. Ask me whatever you want. I'm in this for you, not just with you, for you. Let's get out there and crush it and change some lives.
I want an exercise, okay? I want you to do an exercise. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Everybody close your eyes. I'm watching you. I want you to think of the most successful person you know. You have them pictured? I have a question for you. Do you think they became successful and then became disciplined? Or do you think they became disciplined and then became successful? We all know how this thing works. You don't become the man or woman for the job because you achieved the success that the man and woman for the job would have achieved. You become the man or woman and then you achieve the success. In the old days, if you look back at the history of the 40-hour work week, the 40-hour work week was based on, like manufacturing, right? They were plants. They were shift workers. You need the plant to be operating 24/7. And so you just created these deals and you just paid people enough to get by. But you're not here to get by. You're here to build wealth. You're here to build something that can take care of your family and bless your family and your communities and your churches and your friends and build wealth for the future and maybe leave a legacy. For some of you, it's something that will break, generational curses as a result of it. Like this is a big deal. Successful people are disciplined and then they become successful. Here's another one. Did you miss the message for the messenger? There are plenty of people out there that will tell us what we need to know. You hear me a lot talk about the other side where I'm like, hey, listen, make sure that whoever you're listening to can demonstrate it, right? Like you don't want to take marriage advice from somebody who's been divorced 4 times, okay? If you want to take marriage advice, find somebody who's been married for a long time and happily so, okay? But what I'm talking about here is oftentimes what happens is people are like, yeah, I thought that guy was an asshole. I didn't really like her. That's not the point. The point was, where was the message? See, if you missed the message because of the messenger, that's on you. That's your responsibility. By the way, sometimes your haters, sometimes the people that really make you mad, they have the greatest input. Sometimes the people that literally, if you think about that, now I'm not talking about cheap seats and big opinions. I'm talking about there are some smart people out there that think you're an idiot and they might be right. But you have to be open enough to listen and hear the message from all types of people, not just people that you align with, that you connect with. Sometimes the reason that you don't like someone's word, it's actually a distraction from the greatest lesson that you were supposed to hear and to learn. And what I will tell you is that people that are earning 7 figures, I talk about it all the time, like they're the most coachable people on the planet, right? Well, not all their coaches, number one, know that they're their coaches. Number two, not all of their coaches are people that they probably like. I mean, like, I think Bobby Knight was a pretty good coach. I'm pretty sure not all of his players loved him, right? But don't miss the message for the messenger. I'm going to preach to myself for 1 second, right? Maybe this will land for somebody else, but I was in my journal and I was writing out like, what is my biggest deal? Sometimes I get really loud and really aggressive. And if I'm being honest, really it's fear in me, right? Like that's one of 2 things is going on. Either I am so passionate about this thing, like I've got to get you to hear me, or I'm like, I don't know, I'm scared. Like, should I say this? And so I end up saying it too loud, right? So I'll do my best. But listen, there's this people pleasing thing. How many people pleasers are on the call, right? How many of you like people to like you? Like it's uncomfortable not to be people. Okay. People pleasing isn't about pleasing others. Hear me. I'm preaching to me. Okay. It's about pleasing me. It's about making it easier for me. See, my inability, my weakness, if you will, around feeling uncomfortable, being transparent, completely honest, that's what I'm avoiding. See, people pleasing isn't me trying to please others. It's actually me avoiding the discomfort that comes from being honest. And what that does is it makes it easier. It makes it easier on me. But here's the tragedy of it all. By making it easier on me, I make it harder on them. Now, I want you to take that. I think it's easy when we talk about, our family, maybe our kids and that kind of stuff. But now let's talk about how that pertains to our businesses. How many of you have got a listing right now and the price is too high and you're avoiding having that conversation? You're avoiding it for your benefit, not theirs. Because if you don't have the conversation now, and if you're not honest now, and if you don't tackle the discomfort of it right now, when the market continues to drop in value, it's going to make it really hard on them. Some of you have got buyers, same thing. You're avoiding some conversations. For those of you that are leaders on the call, when you go from 6 million to 4 million in transactions, when you go from 21% on an average comp plan to a 14% average comp plan, it changes your income statement. And you are all in a place where you're trying desperately to sell your value. And rather than just simply saying, hey, listen, let's talk about the true reality of what's going on. Here's the honest truth. Now let's solve it together, or let's not solve it together. But the people pleasing doesn't work. Right?
Hey, sorry for the interruption. Last one. Hey, it's about that time, and we are doing business planning events all over the country. And I want to make sure that you have your absolute best year ever. The people that go through our business planning, on average, make over $250,000 per year. And if you're looking to do that, if you're a sales professional, text me at 833-338-0078. Just text me the town that you are in, and I will send you information about the business planning event that we're doing in your area. All right, let's get back to the video.
All right, I want to talk, and then I'm going to wrap here. How much time do I've got? All right, I've got 13 minutes. Oh, perfect. Let's go. Hey, buyer agents. This is all buyer agents, Did anybody know that things got a little weird about a week ago for buyer agents? Just me? Okay. I had a great meeting with a longtime friend of mine, great coach, great trainer. And for those of you who are in the Chairman's Club and my organization, you're going to get an opportunity here next month to talk with him live in person. But he had something that I was like, dude, you are so good. But part of our conversation was like, how do we make sure that buyers agents are properly trained, properly confident, right? Like the full armor to be able to go into battle and be like sales warriors and get every single buyer to understand that not all buyers agents are created equal, that it really matters to have the right person to represent them, that like you would never go to court and like not have an attorney, or worse, right? Use the plaintiff's attorney. Like if you were a defendant, you would never go in and be like, hey, the plaintiff's attorney, would you also represent me? Like that would be ridiculous, right? So how do we do that? And so, and by the way, you should be writing these things down, okay? Because these are going to become part of your talk tracks, your scripts, your dialogues, your crucial and critical conversations. This is all part of them. That whole piece about like when you talk to a buyer and you're talking about representation and duties, liken it to something else, like going to court and you both have to use the same attorney. That would be insane, right? Or being self-represented. That would be insane. It will cost you money. It costs you big money. Okay. But here's what I came up with. What's interesting is if you talk to some of the listing agents, and if I were to take agents in a room and I would say, all right, there's 100 agents in this room, and how many of you would categorize yourself as listing agents? And those would raise their hand and you put them off to one side. And you say, all right, how many, the rest of you are buyers agents. All right, put you on the other side. All right, so how many of you are freaked out right now about what's going on? 90% of the people that would raise their hand and say they're freaked out are actually people that are buyer's agents. The listing agents are like, it's not that deep. The reason it's not that deep for them is because they are listing agents. They are used to competing. They're used to doing interviews. They're used to presenting. They're used to negotiating. But remember, they've been negotiating the commission for everybody for years and years and years. So this is old hat for them. This is normal. So what I take from that is, if you're a buyer's agent, you have to be as good at being a buyer's agent as a listing agent is at being a listing agent. Well, what does that look like? Well, there's a proven process for that. Listen, if somebody calls me and says, hey, I'm interested in selling my house, I've got 17 questions I ask every single person, right? I do that because it arms me with enough information to be able to answer the questions through a presentation to that seller, right? Like, I need to get all of the information so that they can tell me exactly how it is that I'm going to close them on choosing me. Make sense? Great. And then I have a process, right? I have the theatrics. I deliver my listing presentation. I do it at work. I've got balloons or an orchid. I send 3 videos that in advance, right? So that they can be hearing from me, seeing my face, building a relationship with me before we're ever there. And then I'm going to go send an email to my entire database. And then I'm going to go knock on doors. And then I'm going to go to their property. And then I'm going to walk through the property. And then I'm going to go through all of my buyer agreement, listing agreement, purchase and sale agreement. And then I'm going to bring them back to the office. And I'm going to show, I have a process. Like, I know the process so well, I can say it without reading it. So you got to be the same way on the buyer side, right? Well, buyer calls, great. Do we have 17 questions that we ask? Do we know exactly what the next step is? By the way, the next step isn't meeting at Starbucks. Y'all, can you just hear me for a second? People that make a shit ton of money in real estate don't meet at Starbucks, okay? They meet at their office because it's a huge purchase. It is a major deal. Go to the office, right? But they follow their process. So when they get to the office, you have a proven process. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to the YouTube channel, search up modern day buyer process. And I walk through it step by step by step, but you need to have that process. You've got to be that good that would be a listing agent, right? We talked about this deal. Let me see. I'm going to share my. So we talked about this idea where what if you could quantify what you actually do monetarily for buyers? I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? Because listen, as buyers, if you talk to a listing agent right now, what they'll tell you is that things got pretty easy for them. Right now, they're going out and they're saying, hey, listen, so here's all the things that I'm going to do that are really the things that have made me successful all along, blah, 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 blah. Right. Now, the good news is, I don't know if you heard, but what the good news is that now I'm going to charge you 4% to list your property. And all we have to do now is determine what, if anything, you want to pay for the buyer or the buyer's agent. So it's gotten a lot easier for them. And we've seen it, like empirical data. We've seen that listing agents are actually making more money, not less. That's pretty crazy, especially when you think that, like, how many agents got pissed off that a listing agent would sign a deal for like 6% and that they would spend all the money and then they would take like 3.5 for 4%. Like, people would thought, oh God, that's the worst thing ever. Well, now, like, they're just flat doing it. Okay. So now they're actually making more money. So now, as a buyer's agent, I've got to be able to go in and talk to a buyer and say, hey, listen, not all of these people are going to offer a compensation. And so I've got to sell you, like, they have their deal now and they used to negotiate for us. And the good news is they're not negotiating for us anymore. The bad news is that you and I now have to negotiate. So here we are, we're going to walk through it. Then I'm going to show you all of the value. Here are all the things that I'm going to do, blah, da, 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 da. By the way, just to make it make more sense financially to you, I want to show you how much money I have saved the buyers that I have worked with in the last year, last 2 years, last 5 years, whatever it is. Okay. So I want to walk you through the math here. I want you to take this. I want you to take, what's your average sales price? I'm sorry, what's your average sales price to the listing price? What's the percentage? Okay. I'm just using easy numbers here. But if your average sales price is 500,000 and you're saving people 5,000 or 5%, meaning when I negotiate a deal, the average buyer that I represent buys a home for 95% of the list price. Okay. You follow the delta. So that's a 5% savings for my client, well, that's $25,000 for every client that I represent. Now, I did 20 clients in that period of time. That means I saved my clients over $500,000. Okay. And then I would do the same thing. How much money did you save on average through negotiating on inspection items? Many of you, like y'all, what you do is flat incredible. The average person for sale by owner goes like they don't know which inspector to call. They don't like when they look at an inspection report. How many of you have got to sit down with your customers and go line by line by line because like they're like, oh my God, this house looks like it's going to fall apart, right? And then, of course, we have some others, we call them the good inspectors, the ones that don't crater deals, that oftentimes they don't call out enough. So it's important for you and your experience, wisdom, your gray hair wisdom, to be able to walk people through. And there's some value to that. So what is that number? What about concessions? Do you negotiate concessions in, is it rent back? Is it, maybe it's a painting allowance or whatever? Like calculate all of these things. What about home warranties? Are you including home warranties in your deal? Are you negotiating home warranties to be paid for by the seller? And then of course you've got your vendor discounts. What is it that you're getting from your vendors? What kind of discounts, what kind of money savings are your vendors are your clients getting as a result of those relationships? Y'all, I would come up with what that number is, and then watch this. I might, like on a whiteboard behind me, I might have that, or for those of you who are really clever with a green screen and that kind of stuff, maybe you can do this on a green screen, but I might shoot a video that I would send to everybody, right? Whiteboard behind me. I'd send it to every buyer or maybe every person in my database, just saying, hey, listen, I don't know if you've heard, you probably have, there's some changes that are going on in our industry right now, most notably that, you've got listing agents that in the past have always negotiated a buyer side fee. And now you got, this is what they're doing. And then on the buyer side, we're negotiating your fee. But what it's done is it's created some questions about what buyers actually do. And so I thought I would just take a minute and I would share with you, these are the 17 things that I do for all my buyers. And this is why it's really important. And here's the empirical data, right? Like in the last 2 years, I've saved my clients over $500,000 just in the purchase price. You can see here. And then I've saved them, $28,000 in home warranties and $72,000 in concessions and that kind of stuff. I would send that to my entire database. That would be, by the way, one of the videos that I would send to all my buyers between the time they called me and I did my interview and the time that I had them come into my office and I met, right? That would be one of those videos. The other one would be, and I think you guys have heard this, right? The other one would be like, what's the expectation? And then, of course, testimonials. Okay. But y'all, listen to me loud and clear. To be a sales warrior, to carry yourself and develop the right habits, to build the skills, be able to communicate those skills, be able to generate those relationships, build that rapport, build that confidence in other people is what we do. It's called sales. That's literally on our license. And if you will do that, and if you will follow these proven processes, follow these steps, get really confident in exactly what you're going to do next, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, get really confident in what to say, when to say, and how to say it. Y'all, I'm telling you right now, you shouldn't be charging 2%. You shouldn't be charging 3%. You should be charging 5%. And I'm just going to implore you to do one thing. If you want to change your life, if you want to change your confidence, the next time you go into a buyer consultation, I want you to sit down with them and I want you to go through your process and I want you to deliver fire. Okay. As if this is your favorite little sister, your favorite little brother, your favorite cousin, whatever it is. And I want you to deliver the greatest experience, prove to them that you're going to fight for them more than anybody else. You will make them money. Like you are the person that's going to literally have their dreams made and you're going to save them money doing it. And then at the end of that, you're going to say, and for all of that, I charge 5%. Do it. And then I want you to text me. All right. You ready? I want you to text me 833-338 0078. And I want to hear how it went, because I guarantee you one thing, you're going to be surprised because it's not about the money. It's about the value that you bring. All right. That's it. Go crush it. Go be sales warriors. Love you guys. See you later.